Finally, let's look at our dot join command. Okay, so we're going to print a line to separate our outputs. We'll create df1, df2 again. I mean, it's the same, but no harm. So we are going to do the same fanning out of the commands, essentially. So we do a df1 dot join, all right, left suffix, right suffix, as a way to distinguish from the left on, right on. Okay, then we print out df3, and then we have a set index. Okay, shall we have, okay, we can have a df3i. Okay, so let's do that to be having inner join. Okay, then we are able to do a set index. So print this out. All right, then we do a set index. Remember, set index, it is not having in place equals true. So we are going to not modify df1, keep it as it is. We create a new derived data frame, df1k, right? And then do a df2k. And now we're df1k with the data values of column D moved to the dot index. So D disappears and the index that is always there, but their values have been replaced by the data of column D. To dot join with the similarly processed df2k based on union of these two dot index labels, right? And then based on intersection, so inner. Then we'll see what happens. df2k, I think it's all correct. So let's run. Okay, good. So in the original df3, which is based on outer, we get a bunch of nans below, and df3i based on inner intersection, we are left with only 0 and 1, right? Yeah, because it's the intersection of the index labels, and only 0 and 1 are left, and then we insert all the columns. By right, pandas can tolerate duplicated column labels, a bit like Concat. But unlike Concat, dot join and dot merge, they want it to be clean, right? So they're going to disambiguate them by appending dot underscore L underscore R to the resulting data frame. So here, our outer resulted in a block of nans below, and we didn't really have a equivalent inner, but now you see, because when we look at the dot index label values, intersection of 0, 1, 2, 3 and 0, 1 will result in 0, 1. So what dot join does is to copy all the columns in zeros, so 3, 2, 2, 2, and then ones, so 1, 7, 7, 8, and that is exactly what we saw just now. Okay. Finally, we derived df1k, which is df1 with the column D moved to the, when I say move means the column D disappears and the content gets moved over to dot index. And df2k, same thing, right? Except the column D here, all right, is having just 2 rows. So we'll do that. Then earlier on, we went frame by frame to understand what's going on with dot join, and it's going to look at the index. We're not changing the dot joins behavior. It's still going to look at the dot index labels. However, because we have tricked the dot join into looking at our data content. So in essence, what we achieve by doing this df1k dot join df2k is in some sense like a dot merge, but row wise. Yeah, so we inspect the column data and then only kind of merge, but we call it join now. Dot join them in a union way because we say how is outer, and in a intersection way when we say how is inner. Right. So all these are totally within our expectations. And so with the outer join, we get all the contents of the index, which is our data column D, with all the rest of the columns there, right? And we know that DF1K, DF2K, they don't have any more D, so we're quite safe. And because it's common, so it's kind of neat that the only common column has been given this special status, which is dot index, to ensure that we don't have to check for any other columns that might accidentally have the label D, right? So it's neat in that sense. And finally, we um, look at 2789 and 28. Obviously, the intersection is 28, and we copy the relevant columns. So really, really very nifty here by tricking dot join into looking at the data row-wise by borrowing the dot index position. Okay, so in summary, we have looked at dot concat, just really Lego block style merging them, allowing the labels to duplicate when necessary. Dot merge, look at columns, right? So the columns need to be disambiguated, cannot have duplicated columns, and then all the data within the columns will be arranged accordingly. All right, whether it's to use union or to do intersection. And then when we do dot join, we look at the index labels. Dot join will look at index labels. So it's like a special column, right, in that sense. And we can still borrow the dot set index function to help to kind of teach dot join to also look at our data columns values. All right, so amongst these three functions, dot merge looks at the data, and only dot merge looks at the data. Dot join looks at the index labels, and concat doesn't look at the data. All right, that ends our session for how to make larger data frames. See me again in the next video session. We'll continue with our discussion on much more magical features of pandas. See you in a while.